Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Fish Tank. Now, the E3 coverage continues. I'm sure you must be sick of it by now, but please bear with me. I'm still hyped. I'm gonna want to talk about it. So for this week, rather than focusing on like the big games that were revealed, like the God of War, the Days Gone, those games, we're gonna push those to the side. I want to talk about 5 really cool looking indie games that I played. And I'm sorry Xbox, but when I was there at your show floor, you had a lot of games that I'd already seen before, like Below, Cuphead. I've already played these games. People have already played these games. There's a lot of coverage on it. People love it. But I want to talk about some new ones that I hadn't heard about, and those are mainly at the Sony show floor. So for those of you who noticed that a lot of these are going to be Sony related, I'm sorry, but they're great games and you should be playing them. So let's start off with a very ambitious game called Everything. Now, Everything is literally a game where you can play as everything. That's no joke. You can, from like the smallest like subparticle of an atom to like galaxies, it's incredible. The rain, you can literally play as everything. I was walking by, I saw a guy playing as a boot, and I was like, what is this game? I gotta watch. And then he ended up playing as a house, and he was this large giant office building, and he started dancing with another office building, and they had a baby office building. Like, this game is just crazy. I don't know exactly like how fun the final product will be, but it's interesting, just like it's something new, and the fact that you can play as clouds or a squirrel or literally anything is just really intriguing to me. Next up we have Loot Rascals, a game that I went and checked out, and this game is fantastic. It's got some great art. It's from one of the artists that used to work on Adventure Time. He wasn't a notable one, but he used to, and you can kind of see it. It's got a lot of charm. It's kind of a dungeon crawler, so you take a step, the enemies take a step, and there's a day-night cycle where it's like every 5 turns or so it switches, and some enemies are more powerful during the day, some are more powerful at night, and you have to just chance it, and you blink. Off their bodies, you collect these playing cards, which like give you better attributes, and you just make your way through this world as you're this spaceman basically, and it just looks really charming. I don't know how much more complicated it'll get. I only played pretty much from the very beginning, but it's just something that could be really fun, especially as you like start to figure out more and more of those card mechanics. Like if you die, the enemy takes your card and will go to another game, and other people can fight that enemy. And if they kill that enemy, they have the chance to either give you back that card or keep it for themselves. But if you keep too many of those cards, then supposedly something bad happens. People might be out to get you. So that's just something that it's just interesting to hear how that game is going to shape out. I really want to find out more. Sticking with the cute art styles, we have Night in the Woods. If you love cats, if you love adventure games, if you love platformers, this is the game for you. It's a great looking game. You play as this cat, and he kind of dropped out of college, so he's still living with his parents. And this was one of the few games that like legitimately made me laugh on the show floor. I mean, usually, I don't know, it's weird laughing to yourself while playing a game, but you talk to these people and they all have their own charm, and you're just jumping around. Like right off the bat, your parents are telling you, please don't walk on the power lines. And what do? First thing, jump on the power lines. And then people are like, oh, what are you doing up there? It's just a fun game with a lot of character. I'm really interested to see where that one goes. Next up, we have Gnog, which I haven't seen many people talking about. That might be because this game, it's really not on everyone's radar. It's one of those games where it's more like an experiment. Basically, the developer wanted to get that same feeling of like you you open this new toy as a kid. You've got like a Polly Pocket or some other like little micro machines, like some little tiny toy where you just figure out what it does. Like you press this button, what happens there? You like turn this knob, what happens there? It's just like a toy box game. So what happens is you get basically this like puzzle, and you just mess around with it, just figure out what's going on, look around, and then you solve that puzzle and you move on to a next one. And the whole process repeats again. It's just, I think it's what Ho-Hokum should have been. Ho-Hokum, if you're unaware, was this game you play as this flying snake, and some levels have little goals like that. Other levels you just kind of like, oh, that's pretty, then leave. This game seems like it's that same sort of concept, but it makes it a little more tangible, a little more fun. Like there's always that small little goal, and so you're always just like exploring this little tiny world, little bite-sized section. I think that's going to be a good one. Now, for anyone who's a fan of dancing, you might like this next one, Bound. This one, it's just beautiful. I mean, wow. So the main thing for this game is that they took a dancer and they did motion capture. So all of her movements are just dancing. She might just be like doing little steps, but they just have a lot of finesse. She does these leaps, these bounds. She does these twirls, but then occasionally there's like all these little tiny abstract projectiles that are shooting at you, and you've just got to dance with these ribbons, and it like acts as a kind of a force field that deflects them, and you just dance along, and while dancing you can do little tumbles and leaps and spins. And this is a game that I can imagine just plugging in the headphones and just watching. Like, it's just beautiful to watch. The gameplay, I guess, we played towards the very beginning, so it wasn't super inventive, but I could definitely see some crazy things happening. Just like, I want to know why it's a dancer. Like, there's a lot of questions that haven't been answered, and that's really intriguing to me. I want to find out why I'm dancing, why I need to be dancing, why she's wearing this mask thing. It's just an intriguing game. So that's about it for this week. Don't think that those are the only 5 games that you should be playing. There are tons of indies that came out of E3 this year. I mean, the list is incredible. I think you should be really excited to be a gamer in 2016 and 2017, because there's a lot of stuff coming your way. It might not be the big dogs, but indie games really change what it means to play a game. And that's just something you can't get with those AAA titles. So, if you have any thoughts on indie games or any games that you are particularly excited about, please let us know in the comments below. You can find us on Twitter at NerdMuchCom. You can also find us on Facebook via the description below. I'd like to thank you all for joining us this week. I'll see you next time. So I just realized I forgot to ask you guys to subscribe. If you're still here, please subscribe. That'd be great. But let's move on. Game that I didn't want to feature, but I think everyone should play. This wasn't technically at E3, which is why I didn't feature it. This was at an event outside of E3 called Mix. The Mix, like I guess the Mix in the arcade, I don't know. Anyways, it was like a rooftop party with all these indie developers and you playing all these games. And this one, it was the very last game that me and my friends played. And I'm so glad it was, because I couldn't find my friend Marcel for like 30, 40 minutes, maybe even an hour. Like he was just gone. Turns out he was playing this game called Disc Jam, which we think could very well be like the next Rocket League. It sounds really simple. It's basically, think of a mix of tennis and frisbee. So what you do is you throw this disc and it can bounce off the walls, it can ricochet, you can lob it, but it's it takes it to another level. Like the more you play, the more you find out you can like dash and slide and grab it and chuck, and if you do it perfectly, it does this perfect throw where it makes it a really crazy pattern. It's just exciting. It's fun. It brings back the local multiplayer. I believe it also has online, but I think this very well could be like the next simple yet super deep multiplayer, just competitive sports game that no one saw coming.